Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now June 12th of 2023, and given that we have creators out there like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni really attempting to course correct the Star Wars franchise and really bring it back down to its roots, starting with Ahsoka Season 1, Season 2, and Mandalorian Season 4 just for starters, to really kind of kickstart that momentum to really bring Star Wars on a better path. Meanwhile, we have Kathleen Kennedy working on Indy 5 and also a reported Indy 5 sequel that she talked about just a couple of days ago that's in development right now as we speak. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support, and let's get right into exactly what's going on here. So, you guys may or may not have been informed, but we do know that Indy 5 itself is a show, or should I say a movie, that was eventually going to become connected to an upcoming show that got cancelled quite a number of weeks ago, and now we have an Indy 5 sequel in development via Kathleen Kennedy talking about this, something that is really creating a lot of frustration between George Lucas and the Disney executives, and we're going to be tapping into exactly, specifically, what's going on behind closed doors for Indy 5's sequel, if you want to call it Indy 6 if you will, whatever have you. However, going into all of this, what's really intriguing has much to do with the fact of the Disney executives and how they are tied with all of this. Now, this is all rooted to Kathleen Kennedy's contract initially of creating this Indyverse, or this Indiana Jones universe, so to speak. However, with Kathleen Kennedy promoting Indy 5, Skeleton Crew, and the Acolyte as of late, she has also been in early development as a phase for Indy 5's sequel that she recently commented on to the entire public. However, one big development of what's been happening behind closed doors involves George Lucas himself, with plans of an Indy 5 sequel that will cater to new characters while excluding Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones himself. Now, Lucas was very angry when he caught wind of Indy 6, or the Indy 5 sequel that is now entering into development to feature characters like Helena and Teddy as well as others. Lucas reportedly had a heated word with the Disney executives and many of those creatives over at Lucasfilm to halt this project for Indiana Jones and the Kathleen Kennedy Indyverse, and how Kennedy is relentless in moving forward into making the Indy 6 movie or TV show into a reality to expand the Indyverse. There was another Indy series that was already shut down some time ago and cancelled. However, this reworked sequel or version of that will serve as a sequel either as a movie or a show that is planned to not have Harrison Ford, period, not even a recast of Indiana Jones, and Lucas is doing everything in his power to put a stop to all of this at once. Now, let me just say one thing about this. This totally goes against James Mangold, the creator of Indy 5, saying how we will never replace Indiana Jones. We will never get rid of him. And I think that what he really meant was, we're not going to get rid of him, at least in Indy 5, but that's not to say that we're going to get rid of him down the road. So the fact that Kathleen Kennedy talked about this a couple of days ago, about the Indy 5 sequel, and how that is something that they have been talking about every single day, and that it is in the works, it is in development, and it is moving forward, and that just goes 100% against what James Mangold said, that they would never ever even think about replacing Indiana Jones. Harrison Ford is done, he's not coming back, and Kathleen Kennedy has no intention of bringing back the character of Indiana Jones to be portrayed by somebody else, or via CGI or deepfake technology, whatever it may be, archived footage, whatever have you. The thing that I really hate about this, that really bothers me down to the core, not just with Indy 5, but how Kathleen Kennedy has the ego to already move forward with an Indy 5 sequel. Now, look, one may say, what else is she going to say during the press and during the interviews? Because what is she going to say? Oh, we're not making a sequel because this one's going to be so unsuccessful. Of course she's going to say a sequel's in development, and that is one way to look at it, but she did say that this is moving ahead regardless of what happens with Indy 5. And this just goes to show you how relentless they really are, just like they are with Star Wars, with the Rey movie, right? They saw the sequel trilogy backlash and how many fans did not approve of many of the characters and the direction of those films, and yet she moves ahead with a Rey-centered Star Wars film. Now keep in mind, that is not a Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni project. That is something completely on its own, so we really can't, kind of blame Jon and Dave for any of that. Moving ahead. Now, Bob Iger is described to have a complex contract deal with Kathleen Kennedy, as Disney gave her full authority for an Indiana Jones universe to expand the ever-evolving franchise into something as big as others, like Fast and Furious or Mission Impossible, by creating an archaeology universe via Disney. As long as Kennedy stays at Lucasfilm, this Indy sequel is said to move ahead via her contract. Lucas is said to be overly emotional about this development and has been making calls with all sorts of contacts that have been getting around at Lucasfilm and Disney to put a stop to this at once. Spielberg, surprisingly, is said to have no problem with this idea, strangely. However, in the past, he has supported gender-swapping Indiana Jones. You guys may recall this, but Spielberg did say, well, if we do something like that, we're going to have to change the name and turn her into Indiana Joan. He did say something like that, and he also said that there's no problem with that. I think that there's a big problem with that. Even if you would even think about that idea, I don't know why this tends to be a thing that a lot of these Hollywood directors, producers, and writers support. We've seen a lot of them out there that supported a James Bond gender swap, where they would say, oh, it would have to be named as, maybe Jamie Bond. It's just crazy that we have some people in the Hollywood sphere that think this way. But moving to the next thing, is George Lucas is endlessly trying to put a stop to this and really trying to convince Disney to just not let this happen, to bring this all to a halt and just cancel it altogether. Now look, we know that Lucasfilm wants to strictly focus on Star Wars. This is why they canceled the Willow series. This is why they canceled the initial Indiana Jones show. But now Kathleen Kennedy is greenlighting a Indy 5 sequel to move ahead either as a movie or a TV show, to be something of its own, to be something completely unique. And to that I say, if you're gonna make Helena the main character, is this not any different than Lara Croft Tomb Raider? I mean, if you think about it, Lara Croft Tomb Raider is literally Indiana Jones in its own way by a female lead. And by the way, I love those movies. I think that they're great, even though they're not well established out there to the general public. It's more of a niche, more of a niche thing where only a group of people really know about it. So I think that right then and there is something of a great example that you should just create a separate thing and not gender swap, or at least take the place of another character within the same universe. It just really kind of devalues the franchise, and it only makes things all the more complex for the creator and many of the other creators out there, like George Lucas, Spielberg, and others that have been a part of Indiana Jones as a franchise. So again, like I say, I think it's just very unfortunate that this is the time that we live in, and given that Indy 5 is just a short number of weeks away, it's going to be interesting to see what happens on June 30th and post June 30th. We're talking about 2 weeks into July of what the box office is going to look like. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Fill me in below in the comments what you all have to say about this. And if you guys did enjoy the content, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. And I will catch you guys next time.